Good morning, dear brothers and sisters in the Lord. Before I begin my short reflection for you, I would like to share with you a short story. Last week, there is something happened in my family. Me and my sibling have an argument with my aunties and my uncles. And this argument among us and this misunderstanding among us bring harm to our mother. And not even our mother, not even my mother, but also to my third sister. Okay? Then, after 1 week, all of us, me and my sibling, is very afraid to talk with my mother. Even I, as a priest, I'm very afraid to call her. Because every Saturday or Sunday, I make a time to call my mother just to share with him what had happened to me for 1 week. Okay? Then for that 2 weeks, I didn't call her because I really afraid that she very angry with us. And at the same time also, I'm afraid to ask forgiveness from her. And all my siblings asked me to call my mother because my sibling also afraid to talk with my mother. Then after 2 weeks, I cannot sleep very well because I always think about my mother. And after 2 weeks, my mind is not here. I always think about my mother back. Because all the arguments that we have done with our big family really make my mother feel down about us and really make my mother to think differently about us, his son and daughters. Then suddenly, I remember what Father Sunny said to me. He said, Russell, dia bilang, kau sebagai father, dia bilang, kau mesti mau lembutkan hati kau, dia bilang. Kau mesti mau buka hati kau untuk mau bercakap dengan mama kau, dia bilang. Because as a priest, you always talk about forgiveness. I always talk about finding love in the church. But why I am a priest cannot apply it in my daily life? So it means that I am a fake priest. I only can talk, but at the same time, I didn't apply what I said. Then, that's make me to think twice about my decision. Then, last week, I remember, Tuesday, I make a courage to call my mother. Then, after I speak to my mother, after I explain everything to my mother, then we have reconciled. Then I'm very happy because first, I'm very afraid to talk with her. I say no to talk with her, but after think of it, then I say yes to talk with her. Why I share to you this story? I'm not asking you to sympathize with me. I not minta puji with you what I have done. Okay, that is not my point. That is not my purpose. The purpose that I share to you this story because in today's reading, speak about making choices, moral choices, and the consequences of those choices. The first reading shows us that each one of us is responsible for our action. And the psalm shows to us before we make any decision in our life, we need God's guidance in making the right decision. And in the gospel today, Jesus gives us the parable of the two sons who respond to their father's will to do a certain job. Both have a changed heart after responding verbally to their father's demand. Dear brothers and sisters in the Lord, when I reflect on this reading today and connect it with my story that I have shared with you just now, I realize that each one of us is responsible for not only our words of choices, but also our actions. However, most of us, you and me, during times in our lives, have said one thing and done another. We have free will, and we exercise that free will even after saying one thing. We can and often do something else. God respects our freedom of choice. God does not force us into acting one way or another. Yes, indeed, all of us are called followers of Christ, and all of us are asked by God to do the divine will. However, sometimes we say yes, but do not fulfill our affirmative response. Other times, we say no and later regret our response to do what is expected of us. Most often, our actions show where our real heart is. That's why today, Jesus gave us this parable of two sons to ask us once again to reflect the two kinds of Christian lifestyle. The first is the late bloomer, and the second one is the lip service. The late bloomer Christian are like the first son of the parable, the tax collector, prostitute, sinners who follow Jesus. First, the lifestyle looked like to refuse to religion or God. But when Jesus came to their life, they changed the lifestyle and followed Jesus. The lip service Christian are like the second son, or the priest, the Pharisee, the scribe in Jesus' time. They had only one procession, that they would serve God and obey His commandments. But when Jesus came, they completely ignored Him and crucified Him. Therefore, dear brothers and sisters in the Lord, this reading today is good that once again we ask and reflect ourselves as a follower of Christ. Where are we at this moment? Where are we at this moment? Do you see yourself as the first son or the second son? Do you see yourself as the first son or the second son? And at the same time, ask yourself also, what are the moments in our lives have we said yes to God and yet did not do what we said we would? Amen.